All right, thank you everyone for joining. Just a reminder, please keep yourself muted throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, we'll do a Q&A session at the end of the meetup here, but please feel free to use the chat box. I'll moderate the questions at the end, as well as raise your hand if you have any questions that you'd like to ask to the group. But without further ado, I think we can kick it off with Ann Klaus.
Thanks so much, Devin, and welcome everyone. So happy to see such a great turnout on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. My name is Ann Klaus, and I have the enviable title of being, quote, the first person to introduce the DDIL at a meetup, and that is quite an honor. First off, I really wish you were all here with us, eating pizza and sharing a beverage. So let me tell you where Patrick and Dan and I are right now. We're at the beautifully renovated 115-year-old Frank Furness building, which is now called CSC Station in downtown Wilmington, Delaware. I'm super excited to pull back the construction tarp that we've all been working behind these last few weeks and show you our very own Wonka chocolate factory. But before I do that, let's give you a sneak peek into the lab.
We believe that we can change the world. But first, we need the data to understand it. Delaware Data Innovation Lab is the place for both, where the latest advances in data science meet the loftiest goals and grounds them in possibility. Using advanced data analytics and artificial intelligence and employing augmented reality to visualize data, we can solve the problems of today with the tools of tomorrow. We're a nonprofit that exists for the good of our community and planet, not prestige or profit. We're a consciously diverse lab because we know that data is only as objective as the eyes looking at it. This lab is a place where data analysts come together to combat COVID-19 and to prepare for every other issue we'll face. It's a place where data serves humanity, not the other way around. Delaware Data Innovation Lab. Data science driven by community. Come change the world with us.
All right, if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Let me walk you through a little bit. Normally we'd all be in a big room at a classic meetup, but let me just walk you through how this virtual one will go. Patrick and I will introduce how the lab actually got off the ground in the last couple of months and the mission of the lab going forward. Then we're going to jump into the really meat of the event, which is introducing you to our lab fellows. And that'll be about 25 minutes. After that, I'll come back and share with you how you can get involved. And then for the bulk of the time, we'll open it up to questions. So let me turn it over to Patrick right now.
Thank you, Ann. Hey, everybody. It's good to virtually see you. I'm going to lift this up just a little bit more. I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm one of the founders of Compass Red Data Labs, if I haven't met you before. We're a data company here in Wilmington, Delaware. And we've hosted quite a few meetups in the past. This is probably one of the first unusual one, but it's virtual. And what makes that really cool is that we can reach out to people outside our boundaries. And so welcome to people from Philadelphia, from California, hey Connor, and from all over the place. We're excited to have you here. So let me take you back to say how this all got started. So March 13th, we all remember where we were on March 13th this year. That was the day that most of us were sent home for safety. It's one we'll probably all tell our grandkids about that specific date. Ironically, during that day, at that moment, our team was busy in the process of putting together our internship program. For 2 positions, we had over 150 resumes from some of the smartest minds outside our region and across the country. In that moment, when we saw that, I mean, we've got a great internship program, but 150 resumes for 2 positions was just amazing. I'm a firm believer that when something as shocking as coronavirus shakes the world, there are opportunities that you could never have had before. Our team went to work asking that question: how do we take advantage of this moment? We believe strongly that you have within you the power to be whatever you want to be. As a team, we always have that dream of having something akin to the MIT Media Lab, something that has a lasting impact and can apply innovative thinking to real world problems, where failure is embraced along with success. So fast forward to September 2020, our county executive, Matt Meyer, and the county leadership wanted to make sure they used their CARES Act funding wisely. Not only did they want to save businesses that needed to be saved, but they wanted to make rocket ships. They put out a call for innovation. What could we, as a community, do with our funding that would have a long-term impact? They wanted to attract talent to the region, grow something that would be around for years, and use the technology to solve problems related to COVID and potentially other problems. Think of climate change or anything else. So this is what the team internally at Compass Red put together. We called it the moonshot internally. We wanted to foster that innovation, and we wanted to address COVID problems and real world problems that we had been working on. And we wanted to, more importantly, grow beyond our years, beyond what we could see. We also wanted to correct something in our community we believe needed to be fixed at the outset. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. What was born was the Delaware Data Innovation Lab. It's a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c6. And it's unlike any other ones that's in the region. It brings together other organizations near and far to support those ideas, centered in the data that can change the world. But before I go on, I'm hoping he's on, I want to bring on our county executive, Matt Meyer, to say a few words. He and his team never sleep. I know I've texted and called them on Saturday nights late, and they've always picked up. And we wouldn't be here without them. So Devin, I don't know if you can see if Matt Meyer's on the, we'll see if we can make him present.
He's not able to join yet, Patrick.
Okay. All right, well then is there anyone from the county? All right, we'll get back to Matt Meyer. I'm sure he's in some meetings right now. So going back, I want to reintroduce Ann Klaus. She came to us out of the fluke almost. Someone, Compass Red, Bob Dawes brought her in. What's interesting is she's the youngest child of 10. She was an engineer at Princeton, went to Princeton. She did just a brilliant mind where she worked at NASA and a bunch of other places, and then went on to Harvard to do business schools and that kind of stuff. But we're really lucky she's taking the ball and running with it here at the Data Lab. So without further ado, I'll put Ann back in front.
Thanks, Patrick. Matt, if you ever come on, just jump in and we'll let you have the floor. As Patrick said, I'm the youngest of 10. I'm from Buffalo, New York. And as we'll talk about later, we all have different lived experiences. So let me tell you a little bit about the research lab, about the lab that we're in. At our core, we are a research lab. The people working in this building, the reason why I came to the lab is because everyone here by their nature is inquisitive, they're puzzlers, they're data junkies, and most importantly, they're passionate about their community. Most people here could have had jobs anywhere. And what they say, even in our short 3 weeks, is, man, I am never leaving. This is one of the best places I've ever worked. That says a lot about where we are in the world today and why this is a unique moment, as Patrick talked about. What do we believe at the lab? We believe that by fostering innovation with a more diverse purpose in the data world, we have the opportunity to affect the development of the whole industry at the outset. Put simply, everyone needs to be involved in data. My dad was a historian, so I'm a historian at heart. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the arc of television as a technology. Think back, 1973, Richard Serra aired the famous Television Delivers People art video. He and his partner, Carlotta Faye Schoolman, are credited with coining the term that probably most of you have heard. You're not the customer, you're the product. Fast forward 5 decades, it's 2020, and you're basically hearing Jaron Lanier say the same thing in The Social Dilemma. If you're not paying for it, you're being sold. We believe everyone should understand the power of data and that the power of data should work for everyone. So how are we doing this? The lab's going to bring together industry, academia, nonprofits, and governments in a common space that's grounded by a common vision. But we're going to be surrounded by an ecosystem of flexibility. In 2021, we'll be building the foundation of the lab. To prepare for that, we've been studying, reading, and meeting with some of the top innovation organizations in the world. We'll be bringing this research and these best practices together to set our own DNA in early 2021. We already have a commitment from IDEO, the global design company, to facilitate a workshop with our founding members to help design the core tenets and principles of the lab. We'll tell you how you can have a seat at that table with IDEO after our fellows present. So why are we doing this? Okay, we all know that the same data influences different organizations differently. And more than ever before, companies, universities, foundations, governments, they need a new relationship model versus the old transactional one. New relationships have to be durable, they have to be built on trust, and they have to be cooperative. And they are ever evolving. Innovation centers are exactly that platform. They foster collaborative ecosystems, not competitive ones. Our vision for the DDIL, in addition to being a world-class innovation hub on the Eastern Seaboard, is to bring data analytics, data science, AI, machine learning together to develop a diverse and inclusive culture that serves the needs of all the many stakeholders. Getting back to history, this industry is in its infancy. We believe that if we approach it with purpose and conviction, these fields can have trajectories that exceed the influence of past technologies when it comes to the labor force, equity, community impact, and most importantly, innovation. So I'm going to turn it over now to really the people that make us tick. Ryan Harrington will be introducing our lab fellows.
Thanks so much, Anne. So for everyone who hasn't met me before, my name is Ryan Harrington, and normally on a day-to-day basis, I'm lucky enough that I get to help run and make the data science team at Compass Red tick. But I've been really excited over the last month to take that same idea and shift it to our work with the Delaware Data Innovation Lab. And so in that work, I get to work with all of our fellows, helping to make sure they grow and help to manage all of the different projects that we have going. Anne made a great comment before that what was really important to us is understanding people's lived experiences. The work that we're trying to do is what I refer to as COVID adjacent. We're not trying to solve COVID. We're not trying to come up with the cure. We're trying to tackle the issues that come from the pandemic itself. Things like the effects on the hospitality industry, or different indicators that cities need to look at to understand their recovery better, or how evictions might be affecting people. And so in order to do that, in order to touch the community in that way, we needed to work with a diverse group of people. And I mean diverse in all the different ways you could think of, from skill set to lived experience. We needed people who were data analysts, data scientists, people who were more directly in touch with policy work. And we needed them to come together to solve these 6 focus areas in order to make this work possible. So with that being said, I want to talk less and I want them to talk more about the work that they're doing. And I'm going to pass it over to Rocky Agrawal, who can talk about our work with FAFSA.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone. My name is Rocky. I unfortunately do not live in the great state of Delaware, although I need to visit at this point. I am located down here in Austin, Texas. I'm a data scientist working on our FAFSA project. I've lived lives in education as a high school math teacher, in nonprofits as a fundraiser and grant writer, and as a community organizer and activist, both down here in Austin and up in Chicago. Next slide. Thanks. So our FAFSA project. So when everything shut down in March, obviously the education industry was one of the sectors most impacted by COVID. And as schools started shifting their resources to tackling virtual learning, what student life looks like, what teacher life looks like, one of the things that fell by the wayside very clearly was the college application process. So studentaid.gov, which is a federal website, has shown a decrease in the number of FAFSA federal student aid applications submitted by students beginning from March and still going on today. This is a huge problem for underserved low-income students who are leaving thousands of dollars of free federal grant money on the table. So we are tasked with building a data dashboard that's going to help schools in Delaware see where they stand with their application numbers, and figure out how to get students to complete the application in hopes of getting them to college and through college in the coming years. I'm going to pass it on over to Steve.
Hi guys, I'm Steve Reiss. I'm from Philadelphia, grew up in the area as well. I'm a background in digital marketing as an entrepreneur and more recently a data scientist. And I am working on the problem with a few teammates on what we're calling the hospitality project. Next slide. So as you probably already know, the hospitality industry, restaurants and hotels have really suffered during this pandemic. I know personally, some of my favorite restaurants in Philly have gone under, and I would hate to see that happen to continue to happen. But unfortunately, it looks like hotels and restaurants will continue to have to navigate this landscape of changing regulations, capacities, where their customers, can they eat inside or outside? And this looks like it'll continue into 2021. So hotels and restaurants really have a tough road ahead of them. So our goal, me, Brenda, and Jeff, is to make this easier on the hotel industry. We figured that if we can scrape all the different reviews that are coming in from around the internet and do some analysis on them using natural language processing, we're hoping that we can pull out some clear insights on how businesses can best navigate, this changing landscape. So if we can tell them that, if we can kind of come up with a metric for, how are consumers feeling about COVID-19 in relation to traveling and using these services, and specifically, what issues do they care about? Do they care most about masks? Do they care most about social distancing, sanitization efforts? And then if we can show this over time, we think we can really give businesses an easier time on, what issues can they focus on as it relates to COVID-19, and how can they best make their customers feel safe so that they continue to use their services until hopefully all this is behind us. Now I'll pass it off to Dan to talk about AR and VR technology.
Hey everyone, my name is Dan Barlow. I am not from the area. I am from Apex, North Carolina, which, if any of you know, was rated the #1 city to live in by Money Magazine back in 2015. Been here in Wilmington about a month and I'm loving it so far. And here at the lab, I am working on our AR and VR project. More importantly, how the mobility data comes from Replica, which is anonymized from Google, how the mobility data affects COVID spread. And I'm a data scientist, data enthusiast like everybody else, but my background is really in sports analytics. Anything except baseball, I am happy to talk to anyone about all day. And if this wasn't COVID, I would be out running road races here in Delaware. So yeah, next slide. Yeah, so I'm sure as you all know, it's much, much harder to present data in a virtual forum such as Zoom. Someone always has problems screen sharing, or someone's always muted at exactly at the wrong time. And so what we've been working on, our two outstanding teammates, Ben and Eugene, who've really done some great work here, is that we're creating virtual spaces in AR and VR to help better communicate data stories. And our county executive, Matt Meyer, actually saw our progress that we did in spatial, where we have a virtual meeting room where you can put up different 2D and 3D objects to help communicate what you're finding. And this could be really important because research shows that in virtual reality, people are more engaged and they retain information better, which if you're a collaborator like Christiana Care, that can lead to lives being saved. And with that, I will pass it off to Hector.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Dan. My name is Hector Maldonado Reiss. I am from Wilmington, Delaware now. I'm a recent transplant as of this summer by way of Massachusetts. Just a little bit about me. I'm a data scientist, but I spent the majority of my professional life in the realm of public health, population health. So with myself and Megan Brackeen, who is another fellow, we've been working here together, just generally thinking about what are some of the problems outside of the clinical sphere that COVID has either mediated, promoted, or influenced in any shape, way, or form. And whether in the context of this year or historic, one of the things that has really brought it to our attention has been the aspect of evictions within Delaware. So Megan and I are working on creating essentially what we call calling a data narrative or a data journal, where we're capturing not only where filings are happening within this year under the belief that a single filing is too many, but also looking at where the moratoriums, both at the state and federal level, have had a major impact with eviction filings and hopefully in evictions eventually. So in the grand scheme of things, we're looking at a spatial distribution, identifying hotspots, and our hope is to not only have this information and tell the story, but also connect resources from community members or outside of the local communities to be able to address and support individuals households and individuals who have perhaps a need within the process of eviction filing, especially in the context of coronavirus, where not having a place to shelter really beats the purpose of isolating if you're sick or quarantining and so forth. So that's where the majority of our work is being done. And I think I will pass it on to Shrestha.
Thanks, Victor. Hey guys, good afternoon, everyone. And I'm basically from London, Virginia, and I previously, prior to this, I worked as a data scientist and business analyst. I've always been passionate about data and how it could affect the community, and I love the way that Campus Red and DDIL have put together as a team to address these community issues. By applying analytics, and that's how I ended up here. So I currently work as a data scientist with DDIL. And coming to my problem, the bigger problem in the city of Wilmington right now is there's no clear picture of dashboards here in the city for the city of Wilmington at census level that could track the key indicators of social, economic, and public health, which could, that are most affected by COVID. So Sarah and we are currently working on building a live dashboard that could relatively track all these key indicators in the social, economic, and public health sector for the city of Wilmington, which could give the organizations, be it private or public investors, so that they could make quality investments in the area. And this dashboard will give them a clear picture of how a particular area at census level has been affected by COVID. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Jasmine.
Thank you, Shrestha. Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying getting to know more about DDIL and our project so far. So my name is Jasmine Pham. I was born and raised in Vietnam, but I have lived here in Philadelphia for the last 5 years. My professional background is in data analytics, business intelligence, and digital marketing. One of my ultimate motivation in career is to make direct and positive impacts on humans' well-being, and which is also the reason why I joined DDIL, where I believe I can get closer to my goal. And currently at the lab, I'm working on a project that analyzes the wastewater samples along with social determinant of health to detect the level of COVID infection and its impact in Newcastle County. The reason that we're interested in this topic is because individual testing capacity is insufficient, and also data on case count and hospitalizations are subject to lag by weeks and do not report on people with mild or no symptoms. And these challenges definitely make it hard for us to detect the virus and mitigate its spread as quickly as needed. At the same time, public health experts have confirmed that asymptomatic individuals can still shed the virus in their feces. And in fact, viral traces of the novel coronavirus can be detected in wastewater up to 1 week before the physical symptoms occur. And this means that wastewater can serve as an early warning signal that COVID-19 is present in a given area. And for this project, we are building an interactive dashboard that not only communicates the viral trend in a community, but also help the local government and public health officers to recognize early warnings of potential outbreak, determine location of testing site and vaccination, as well as understand COVID's impact on disproportionately affected communities. And now I will pass it on to Anne to talk about how you can get involved with our lab and the project.
Jasmine and everyone, fellows, thank you so much. You should all just unmute and give them a huge thank you. You guys are amazing. in what you've done in just 3 short weeks. There we go. All I know is when Bruce Tuckman described group dynamics back in 1965 as the process of forming, norming, storming, and performing, I don't think in his wildest dreams he thought a team could do what you guys have done in such a short time. So thank you so much. We're gonna jump in here, and I think Matt Meyer, our county executive, is now with us. And Devin, if you can bring us over to Matt, I will mute, and we'll see if we can get him online.
Yeah, hello. How is everybody today? It's good to see you. I caught a few of the fellows' presentations. My name is Matt Meyer. I'm the Newcastle County executive. It's like being the mayor of Delaware's largest county. We're a county of 560,000 people. I realize many of you are Delawareans. Some of you are recent Delawareans. Maybe a few of you have not even set foot in Delaware before. The first thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you to Compass Red, to Patrick and his team for your leadership in envisioning the Delaware Data Innovation Lab. Crises create opportunities, unique opportunities, and opportunities that really can change the course of history. And we believe that this Data Innovation Lab is potentially a way that we're going to redirect thinking here in the private and public sector, not just for the COVID crisis, but for the long term. And we really appreciate not just Patrick and Compass Red's efforts, but the fellows and everyone who's played a part thus far in turning this into reality. I want you to know that Delaware is an incredible place. For those that don't know, we in the past few weeks feel like we've kind of become the center of the American world, or the center certainly of the American political world, where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's transition office now is in Delaware, and we see big convoys of government vehicles and so Secret Service driving around. But it's a reminder that the focus in some ways will be on Delaware and in Newcastle County for much of the next 4 years, and it's up to us how we leverage that. We believe we can leverage it into an innovative future, into a place where we're not just a place where the president is from, but we are a hub of data innovation and analytical thinking for the country and for the world. You should know that Delaware's unusual. The things you do, it's a laboratory. It's an innovation laboratory. The advantage of laboratories is you're sheltered from sort of the dirtiness of things that happen out in the outside world. But the downside of laboratories is often you do things that actually don't work in the real world. The assurance I'll give you as someone that runs a government with 2,000 employees, 560,000 residents, is that we're going to put your work to use. When you develop some analytical tool that helps us as government officials identify where the next outbreak is, some early detection system, we're going to put that to use. When you look at how college admissions are being impacted, or various things in our community, evictions, the housing market is being impacted, we're going to learn from your work and utilize it to make better policy to impact the people of this county, the state, and hopefully the country and world as well. The last thing I want to say is just this. I want you to imagine for a moment, you were elected to run a county, and you think about the things you're elected on. We wanted to create jobs. We wanted higher quality policing, safer communities, more sustainable, greener communities, plentiful open space, quality parks and libraries. I never in a million years imagined that I'd be governing through a pandemic. One thing I said to my senior staff in mid-March, shortly after our first cases came into Delaware and into Newcastle County, was I had no idea how we would get out of this. I didn't know whether it would be weeks or months or years before our communities emerged from this COVID-19 crisis. But I knew the way we'd get out of it was through innovation. I knew that there were people out there, there are minds out there who would work on vaccines, who would work on testing modalities, who would work on masks and different protective equipment, or would work on analytical tools that help us to come out of this COVID-19 crisis a little bit quicker, and I would hope a little bit better than when we came into it. So that is sort of the mission I give to you, the DDIL, the Delaware Data Innovation Labsters, is not only how do we use this innovation lab to address the most urgent concerns of COVID-19, but how do we leverage this lab to emerge from COVID-19 a little bit better than the communities we had coming into it. So thanks so much to all of you for your leadership, wherever you are from, wherever you're sitting right now around the county, state, country, or the world. Thank you for your investment of time into the lab and brain power. We are your partner in not just getting it started, but in making sure it really achieves beyond all of our wildest dreams. So thank you.
Step back one. Matt, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. I know you are more than busy, so really appreciate you taking the time, and most importantly, for your support in getting us up and running. So for everyone out there, as you can see, we firmly believe through all of our labsters, as Matt has now coined us, getting diverse people around the table and seeing data through diverse lenses is what makes us different. Hector and I come to work every day here at the CSC station, and we stand 10 feet apart, and pretty much daily he reminds me of the power of differences of our lived experiences. He said to me last week, by seeing the same thing through different life experiences is how we have the power to bring completely new ideas to the world. That's what we labsters believe in. As individuals, the DDIL team has lived and worked all over the world, and we believe that there is no place like Delaware to test ideas. As Matt just said, there's a reason why we all came and joined the lab here. There's value to being a big fish in a small pond. Where else can you have a proof of concept in a real world setting on real streets, real sidewalks, in real communities and real economies faster than anywhere else in the world? At the same time, you're in a town, you're in a village, you quickly get to the county, and within about a week or two, you're at a state level testing your ideas. Any shiny new idea here meets real world grit. So what we say is Delaware is where innovation gets real. And that's why we're here. So if you're bought into the power of data and diversity in solving complex problems of today and tomorrow, there's unique ways you can gain access to the lab and get involved. If you're a corporation, you can gain a seat on our board, supporting the work, and in 2021, helping code the DNA of the lab for decades to come. So give us a call. If you're a nonprofit organization looking for a data-driven perspective, join the board in 2021, or bring your most taxing challenges to our fellows. Call us. If you're an academic institution looking to expand opportunities for your students, your faculty, your centers, your programs, we have partnering opportunities. Give us a call. And finally, if you're the press out there listening, or you want to share what you've heard with others about our work and our mission, give us a call. We want to hear from you, we want to partner with you, and we'd love for you to share our vision. What does give us a call mean? Pretty simply, go to our website, you'll see all our contact information there. Devin's done a fabulous job in just a short time to get our social media accounts up. You'll find us all on LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out to our amazing fellows on their LinkedIn, come to our LinkedIn. We're on a Twitter feed right now. And probably most importantly, if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I have a problem that I'd love to kick around with someone at the lab, right on our webpage, it says, submit your problem, submit your idea, and one of us is gonna get back to you to start kicking that idea around. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Devin, and we can open it up to some Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. So the first question we have was from Jacob Owens. He's asking about the partner organizations. Sounds like partner organizations will be needed for funding. How will they be identified? Patrick or Ann, do you want to jump in on this one?
So one more time, can you explain that again?
Yeah, looking at the partner organizations and the funding, how are they going to be identified? How are partner organizations going to be identified?
Yeah, exactly. So there's 4 different types of organizations we've reached out to: universities, government institutions, corporations, and then healthcare facilities. We've reached out to them specifically because they play a part in all the COVID problems that we're running into, and also for future support. So that's primarily the purpose. And it's not even just in Delaware. We're looking on the West Coast, as Ann mentioned earlier. IDEO getting involved in this was a big kicker for us. Having a West Coast thinking that designed Apple products say, we want to help you design out this lab was huge for us. So it's not even border specific. So we reached out to them, they reached out to us. And so we're getting them through the website, through LinkedIn, through social media, those type of things. And then what we're looking for is, obviously the funding. We're going to keep this thing going well beyond our years. The second thing is for the problem sets. We want real problems we want to work on and people that are passionate behind them. And then just the talent to be able to dream with us. Those are some of the things we're getting involved in. Thanks for your question. It's a great question.
And if anyone has any questions that they're thinking of right now, please feel free to raise your hand in the link below, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question directly.
I do want to real quickly at the end here too, as we tend to wrap up, the special thanks to the community. We've got a lot of people. This thing didn't exist 2 months ago, and a lot of people came together quickly. To hire and find 22 people overnight was near impossible, and then to get them working almost 24 hours a day, it feels like, on these problem sets in such a short period of time was really a miracle. So thanks to the community, to the fellows who were patient throughout this whole thing, and then to our government locally, Matt Meyer and his team, who again worked tirelessly on this. Thank you. And then while I have it, do we have any other questions? Or great. Well, I'll just keep going on just for a second. We want, what's worked in the past. We've run hundreds of meetups all over the place. I think Dan is on this line who helped me do we worked together to do the Philadelphia Data John. What's really key to this whole thing is to educate the community and get their involvement. We're going to continue to have the meetups. They're not going to be like this as a promotional type thing, but really deep diving into specific questions we're addressing, or looking at someone that may have developed something out in Washington State or in London or wherever to come in and talk. We can do that now because we're all accustomed to Zoom. The next one will be Tuesday, January 27th, I believe it is. And then we'll have one in February as well. If you have ideas that you want to submit, there were some great things done in Philadelphia that we can talk about all over the place. We'd love to spotlight those things here through the meetup as well.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We've also recorded the whole presentation, so we will be sending that out via the meetup. Hope you loved our sizzle video. We'll be sharing that out on our social channels, so please give us a follow, reshare that, and push that out to your different networks. We'd love to get out into the community and keep this thing moving. So unless there's any questions, I think we can sign off.
Great. All right, well, thank you. Oh, congrats. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening, and then we'll talk to you next month.